Okay, so good morning. My name is Morgan Bates. I'm part of the MCAA program here at Concordia Irvine, and this is my quality of character presentation for Ethics in Sport, MCAA 530. My topic I'm going to be discussing today is self-improvement. So firstly, definition of self-improvement as defined by the Oxford English Dictionary is the improvement of one's knowledge, status, or character by one's own efforts. I believe that we've all had experiences with trying to self-improve, so I'm just going to discuss some different research and different quotes and things like that, different ways that we can try to self-improve. Some examples of this would be to be more organized, communicate more effectively, make more time for family and friends, improve our health, our fitness, the things that we eat, procrastinating less, managing our time better, and also managing our stress more effectively. There are endless ways that we can improve ourselves, and these are just a few examples. Okay, so when researching the idea of self-improvement, I came across a popular author named James Clear, whose main focus is behavioral psychology, habit formation, and performance improvement. His online platform contains many free articles and links to proven research on self-improvement. One topic that he discusses is that of feedback loops. So there are two different types of feedback loops that he argues that psychological feedback is continuously running in the background of our lives. It can influence every process, from how fast we drive to how regularly we take our medications, and even how often we check social media. He claims that feedback loops are the invisible hand that shapes our lives. The two main types of feedback loops are balancing feedback loops and reinforcing feedback loops. So balancing feedback loops are a way to moderate bad habits by pulling behavior back on track and helping to stabilize the system around the desired level. So for example, he gives an example of digital radar signs. So when driving down the road, you pass a digital radar sign that flashes the speed you're driving. The sign alerts you to slow down. Your bad behavior, driving too fast, becomes the input for the balancing feedback loop, while your good behavior, slowing down, becomes the output. So according to, there was a road injury prevention journal, speed control devices such as digital radar signs have proven to reduce excessive driving speeds in as many as 30% of drivers in some areas. So this is proof that this type of balancing feedback loop works to moderate bad behavior. Another example that he gives is that of your thermostat in your house. If you set your thermostat to 68 degrees and the temperature in your house falls below that, then your air conditioner or your heater turns on to bring it back up to 68. And if it gets too hot, if it gets hotter than 68, your air conditioner will kick on to cool you off. The thermostat serves as a balancing feedback loop that keeps your house's temperature within a narrow range. So balancing feedback loops are good for moderating bad habits because they can attack the problem from two different sides. They can keep unhealthy behaviors in check by making sure you're aware of your mistakes, like when they display your too fast driving speed. And they can remind you to perform a good behavior, like driving the speed limit so that the sign doesn't flash at you. So that is how a balancing feedback loop can help you moderate a bad habit. So the next is reinforcing feedback loops. So reinforcing feedback loops are used for building good habits because they naturally amplify and strengthen their own behavior. So going back to the same author, James Clear, he gives an example of the speedometer on his car that lets him know when he's driving in a fuel-efficient manner. He said that the dashboard would light up white when he was driving too aggressively or too fast. The light changed to green when he was accelerating moderately, and bright green when he was driving in a fuel-efficient manner. So it kind of turned into a game for him to always kind of live in the green zone, and so it helped to reinforce the good behavior of fuel-efficient driving. The next idea of a reinforcing feedback loop that he gave was compound interest. So for example, if you start with an account with $1 and you have a compound interest rate of 10%, by next year you'll have $1.10 in your account. The next year, the interest will be based off the new amount, and you'll result in an even higher balance of $1.21. So over time, the cycle helps to contribute to the feedback loop, and you result in a larger and larger gain. So reinforcing feedback loops are a good way to help amplify good behaviors that you're already doing. So how we use these feedback loops for self-improvement. He talks about 3 main ideas: measurement, comparison, and adjustment. So measurement is the foundation of every feedback loop. One key characteristic of all feedback loops is that the output from one cycle becomes the input for the next cycle. All feedback loops measure something, such as the digital radar sign that measures how fast you're driving, and that data improves your awareness of the behavior. So your awareness of the behavior becomes the starting point for the next cycle. Having awareness of the fact that you're driving over the speed limit is the first step to being able to change that behavior. Next, he talks about comparison. He says comparison is essential for making sense of your feedback loop. Measuring something is useless unless it's relevant to you. So a digital radar sign that tells you how fast you're going is only relevant when compared to the actual speed limit. The comparison between where the measurement says you are, the sign telling you you're driving 50 miles an hour, and where you want to be, the actual speed limit is 40 miles per hour, that's what makes the next step clear. So personal and relevant comparisons are what make feedback loops effective. Lastly, adjustment is the action that closes the feedback loop. So adjustments should be made as quickly as possible. The quicker the change, the tighter the feedback loop. What good is a sign that tells you your current speed if you don't slow down until a few miles later? You must make the immediate adjustment in order for that sign to be effective in the long-term goal of affecting your bad behavior of speeding. So carefully designed feedback loops can help us stick with good habits and regulate what habits that would be unhealthy for us if they spiraled out of control. So next I'll talk about the aggregation of marginal gains, the 1% rule. So I came across an example of Great Britain's professional cycling team in 2010, Team Sky. So they gained a new general manager by the name of Dave Brailsford. And Brailsford, he had quite the challenge when he took over. No British cyclist had ever won the Tour de France. He approached the task of developing He approached the task of developing a Tour de France winner with the concept of aggregation of marginal gains. So this concept was explained as the 1% margin for improvement in everything that you do. He believed that if you improved every area related to cycling by just 1%, that those small gains would add up to remarkable improvement. He started with optimizing things like the nutrition of riders, their training program, and the actual bicycles themselves. But Brailsford went a step further, and he saw 1% improvements in every aspect that he could think of. So things like discovering the pillow that offered the best sleep for his riders, taking it with the team to the hotels, and things like testing for the most effective massage gel, teaching the riders the best way to wash their hands to avoid getting sick, all these little things. He was hoping that these 1% improvements would hopefully put Team Sky in position to win the Tour de France in about 5 years' time. But they got a nice surprise when they actually met their goal in 3 years. So Brailsford went on to coach the British cycling team at the Olympics in 2012, and they dominated the competition. They won 70% of the gold medals. Brailsford and the British cycling team are the perfect example of the 1% rule and are a reminder of how we should approach self-improvement. Oftentimes we only measure our progress by large achievements, such as losing 50 pounds, starting a new business, or traveling the world. We only measure our improvement by these large events. We put immense pressure on ourselves to make huge improvements in a short amount of time instead of recognizing small improvements made over a long time. Our gains or losses in life are often compounded result of our tiny actions and decisions made on a consistent basis. Those choosing to improve by 1% instead of declining by 1% are going to see greater results in the long I found this awesome quote by Jim Rohn. Success is a few simple disciplines practiced every day, while failure is simply a few errors in judgment repeated every day. So just kind of putting in perspective how choosing to be a little bit better every day can be compounded, as well as not making the right choice every day can ultimately lead to greater decline.